All right, we're live. We're about to speak about Ramadan from a Moorish American Moslem perspective. And uh, as always, I ask that everybody please like and share this video. Help to help this to grow, help to spread this information. And I think this will be helpful to everybody here. So on that note, we're about to get started. And I just ask that everyone who hasn't shared this yet, I ask that everybody please like and share this. Got some feedback on there, but just ask that everyone who hasn't shared this video yet, make sure that you do so. And don't go anywhere. We'll get it started. Okay, here we go.
All right. Islam, peace and love, more. Just want to share this, just some brief words on this special time. Today is, this evening is when Ramadan starts. So I just wanted to share a few words with everyone. Okay. And I just want to start off first by reading just a few words from the Quran as revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. We go to chapter 2, verse 256. All right. You may have heard people say there's no compulsion in Islam. So when you hear people say that, especially Muslims say that, this is what they're speaking about. Now in verse 256, it says, there's no compulsion in religion. The right way stands clearly distinguished from the wrong. Hence, he who rejects the evil ones and believes in Allah has indeed taken hold of the firm, unbreakable handle. And Allah, whom he has held for support, is all-hearing, all-knowing. And so that's where you'll hear that term, there's no compulsion in religion. There's no compulsion in Islam, right? Like some people take that to mean that there's freedom in it, right? That you can't be coerced into doing certain things. And that may be true to a degree. All right. But on another hand, okay, we have to understand that there's no force or pressure on people to become, profess the faith, right? We're not going out here trying to force people to see things this way, to do this, to do that. And that also comes into play with different cultural practices as well, right? There's no compulsion. People aren't supposed to be telling you that you have to do this. This is the way. You want to come to this understanding, if that is the light, if that is the truth for you, you want to come to this understanding of your own fruition. Because if it's being forced on you, you know, it may not really take hold. A lot of times when you're trying to force people to do something, say you must do this, you must do that, it doesn't really take hold. People may not even really see any enlightenment in doing it. And so coming to the practice of Ramadan, what Ramadan actually means, Ramadan was the month or the time period that the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. The angel Gabriel dictated the Quran to him by word, right, by speaking. And so this practice of fasting during this period of like 30 days was established as a way later on by Muslims for them to commemorate this great revelation being revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. And so it was established by the Muslims, and has been kept in place now for like over 1,000 years. Well, near my mistake, not 1,000, but get it's been going on for this long, right? And that's really what it's about. At the end of the day, it's commemorating the revelation, and doing so by fasting. And some people may not agree with it, but there's really nothing wrong with fasting, because for us as Moorish American Muslims, right, we have these words that's up here on the screen. That's from our Quran, the Circle 7 Quran, which was revealed to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Know thyself and thy Father God Allah. We want to subdue our own lower self. So this is a great time for Muslims all over the world to exercise mastery over the lower self by fasting throughout the day, right? Not giving in to the urge to eat or to partake in carnal activities, right? Fasting from intercourse, from drinking, smoking, eating. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, even though this in many ways is a cultural practice for the people in Persia, and the Prophet did not make this, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not make this obligatory for us. Like, we're not obligated to do it. He didn't even mention it as far as we know. We don't have that in our laws. So even though it's not something that we're necessarily obligated to do, we do have the divine instructions right within our Holy Quran to work on subduing our own lower self. And so there's nothing wrong with Moorish American Muslims participating in Ramadan with over 1 billion Muslims all over the world. But I just want to go back to that verse. That's why I shared the verse about no compulsion, right? So it's not that you're being forced to do it. If you feel the desire to participate, I want to share some instructions just on what we can do, right? Some guidance and some guidelines, because for the most part, our people, so-called African Americans or Caribbeans or whatever, we're just now coming into this understanding of who we are. And so we need these guidelines and this structure so that we know what we are to do. So once again, there's no compulsion. You're not being forced into this. It's, hey, if you want to participate, this would be a great way to do it. And so let's get to it. So Ramadan actually starts Wednesday evening. That's March 22nd, right? And that's going to last 30 days. So that's going to go into April, I think April 22nd or April 23rd. I mean, we have 31 days in March, so probably that's going to be into the 22nd. You can just type on Google to get the exact date. A lot of people who are going to be fasting throughout the entire day wake up before the sun rises, and they actually eat a meal, drink, and do whatever they need to do. There's no strict restrictions on what you should or shouldn't do, and the reason is because you have to do what's comfortable for you. People who are working physically, doing physical labor, definitely wouldn't advise going without water throughout the day. And especially as it's starting to warm up now, it's springtime. But this is what people do. Several people all over the world get up before the sun rises to eat. Now there are certain times constraints, because many Muslims, not all, but many Muslims, especially the largest branch of Muslims, which would be those who could be considered Sunni Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. And so they get up, they pray, and they eat, and they do this before the sun rises. Now, there's actually nowhere in the Quran where it says that you must pray 5 times a day, right? So this goes back into the same verse that was up about there being no compulsion. The Ismailis who practice Islam, also there's another, I guess you could say, philosophy or sect of Islam. They pray 3 times a day, and the reason that they pray 3 times a day is because that's all that's mentioned in the Quran. And that 3 times a day that's mentioned in the Quran, that's a practice that's been going on since before the Prophet Muhammad revealed, brought his people into Islam, right? And this is what I would advise all Moorish Americans to do, to pray. And this is why I would say all of us should participate in Ramadan, even if you're not fasting every day for the 30 days. We should all make it a practice to start working on, if we're not already doing this, praying 3 times daily, morning, noon, and night. Now, while going back to this, while Sunni Muslims, which would be the majority of the Muslims around you, there, I guess you could say there's, you have Sunnis, you have I guess you could say the Ahmadiyas, and I can't think of another group, but the majority of the Muslims that you will encounter here in America, they're doing the 5-day daily prayers, even though that's not in the Quran. Why? Because this was established, right, while the Prophet Muhammad was still alive. It was established to do 5 daily prayers. In the Quran, though, it mentions the morning prayer, the afternoon, the middle prayer, and the evening prayer. That corresponds to previous religions like Judaism, right? In Judaism, they had Sakharit, Minkot, and Arvid, morning, noon, and night, right? So this was already going on. And if you look into the scriptures, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, these are all the Abrahamic religions. So this is what the prophet, the father, Abraham, was doing. 3 daily prayers. So with that Persian influence to do the 5 daily prayers, that's actually coming from the ancient Zoroastrian religion, right? They had an effect. So this is something that the people wanted to do. They would have wanted to do the 5 gods, which is praying 5 times. And so you have to think the Prophet Muhammad is bringing this to religion, to people who were idol worshippers, right? People who had earlier different practices, pagan practices, things of that nature. And he has to get these people to come into Islam to recognize the creator, the one creator. And so that, some compromises may have had to be made. That's also why that's not in the Quran, though, doing that 5 daily prayers. There's 3. That's it. So the Persians adopted it. It's made this easier for them to adopt it because they already had some rituals going on where they were doing this 5 times a day. So I'm saying for us, even if you're not fasting, we should make sure that no matter what, the first thing that we do when we wake up is to pray. Pray. Literally giving thanks, expressing gratitude for everything in your life, right? Doing this again in the middle of the day, so around noon. And this is something that we can all do, even if you have to set a little alarm or notification, like on your phone, for example, or your watch. Morning, noon, and evening, not necessarily night, but evening, meaning more than likely out way before you go to sleep, maybe like around 6 o'clock, okay, or right when the sun starts to go down. So morning, noon, and night. And this is something that, regardless of whether you're fasting, this is something that all members of Temple 30 can be doing in unison. Those 3 daily prayers. And the easiest prayer, besides the Moorish American prayer, right? Allah, Father. Besides that, the easiest way to pray is just to give thanks, expressing gratitude for everything, your health, your loved ones, everything. And doing this every day for 30 days, hopefully it will lock in and become a part of our daily lives. So now we're actually starting to live like Muslims, actually practicing Islam and really coming into the faith. This is important. Going back to the prayers, though, too, also just to make sure there's no confusion, right? Because because someone will say, well, why do we stand up? It's because this is what our prophet brought to us. Now, when the prophet Muhammad came to the Persians, right? Once again, coming to people who are idol worshippers, coming to people who are rejecting the message, he brought them their way to pray. And I'm not saying they, as if, these are people we can't relate to at all or anything like that. Just keeping it all the way honest. In the Quran, Surah 14:4, it says that Allah brings a messenger to every nation, raises a messenger from amongst every nation, and even speaking the language of those people. And for those of you who attend your meetings, you know that this is found throughout the Quran several times. This is the president. Allah always rises a messenger from amongst those people and speaking their language, right, to get them in alignment with the Creator, with Allah. And so our prophet has us standing up. You can see all of these positions in the Quran, right? The standing position. That's in chapter 3, verse 39, 39, verse 9. Right? Bowing and prostrating, also in there several times. So we as Moorish American Muslims, you can prostrate. You can prostrate all the way down to the ground. You can bow too. But once again, our prophet brought us that standing position. Now there is a time and a place too also for prostrating. But for the most part, we can just get up, we can stand up, right? Heels together, feet at a 45-degree angle, holding up 2 fingers on the right and 5 on the left. And you can just express your gratitude, right? You can do that morning, noon, and night. Just getting into the field, really strengthening your own connection with the Creator. And I would even take it even further during Ramadan and say, not only pray, but also meditate. This meditation mix that you hear in the background is something I created years ago. We sent this to several members. If you don't have it, just let me know. But that's universal meditation. If you'd like to support, I can send you the link also where you can send a donation for that as well. But I advise everyone also, in addition to praying, to meditate. And meditation is something that can be done in 15 or 20 minutes. Very simple. Just closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. Doing that in conjunction with prayer, right? Meditating and prayer, that's actually 6 times, right? Instead of 3. But and it is very easy and quick, so it's something that we can all do. And I advise us all to participate in that manner. I'm just going to share once again another reason why. Going back to this now, as I said, the Prophet Muhammad came to his people. Right? He came to his people, and he had to get them in alignment with Allah. But we remember, now this is from our authority, what our prophet brought to us. The Moorish Science Temple of America deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and the truth of the great prophet of Ali in America. All right? To appoint, anoint, and consecrate missionaries of the prophet and establish the faith of Muhammad in America. The same faith. Now remember, Muhammad also had the same faith that Jesus brought, that the prophet Abraham established. Okay? But you're not getting away from that. The great Quran of Muhammad. Just wanted to share that. When we look at our nationality card, right, it says, this is your nationality card for the Moorish Science Temple of America, and birthrights for the Moorish Americans, etc. We honor all the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. May the blessings of the God of our Father, Allah, be upon you that carry this card. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All right, so we're declared Muslims under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. That's not speaking about the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So we do look to the Quran for guidance. And that's why sharing those Quranic verses, so that we understand what we are to do. So it does say in the Quran to do that prayer in the morning, in the middle, and also in the evening. So keep that in mind. This is something that we should all do, and so this is a perfect time, Ramadan, for us to get into the practice of praying 3 times a day. Now, whether you're fasting or not, okay? And if you are fasting throughout the day, not eating, once again, if you're doing a lot of physical labor or just thirsty, or pregnant or anything like that going on, well, if you're pregnant, you definitely want to eat and drink. Children, I would, go really easy on children, like, as far as participating, they can do whatever they feel comfortable doing, and whether you're fasting or not, though, definitely more. Let's work on praying morning, noon, and night, and also add a meditation to that. Okay, so if praying morning, noon, and night, meditating also, pray then meditate morning, noon, and night, we're good, and we're doing that work on subduing our own lower selves, and we're dedicating the whole month to this, exercising mastery over the lower self. It's a beautiful thing. And so I just wanted you, Morris, to keep that in mind. That's really all I had to share on that note. Peace and love, Morris.
All right, Islam. Make sure to like this video and share it. And that is just speaking on Ramadan from a Moorish American Muslim perspective. Remember, as was read earlier, looking at the back of our Quran, the questionnaire, what does it say? Right? It not only do we derive our power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad, right, to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Ali in America. Okay, but also it says to appoint and anoint and appoint and consecrate missionaries of the prophet and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. So we can't leave that out. In the great Quran of Muhammad, the Quran of Mecca, we don't leave that out. We don't hide from it. There are divine instructions in there for us, for Muslims all over the world. So this is one reason too why I say yes, we should participate, right? Why not? We're working on subduing our lower selves. That's the great mission that we all have, right? That's a part of submitting to the will of Allah. Submitting to the will of Allah also means subduing your carnal nature. And on that note, I'm out. Peace and love, Morris.